everybody? Welcome into DTL Golf. I am your boy, the coach. We are here every single Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. We do it on Tuesdays. So if you don't have time today live, you can watch us on demand all the way up until Thursday morning. We are coming off a week that for the PGA Tour was not a good week, a signature event at the historic Pebble Beach. Unfortunately, it was only 54 holes, and most of the days was filled with wind and rain. But Wyndham Clark's bank account, oh, that's very, very hefty as he won the 54-hole event. But now we look forward to this week. But before we do that, look what I'm wearing today, our brand new merch store. It's live. It is open. And we encourage you to buy our Golf is Hard merchandise or our featured merch item of the week. It's Us Against the Books. Hashtag the crew. The QR code is there right there on the screen. We'll have it up there. Get yours today and rep. Getting so many good tweets with pictures. Let's bring in the stars of the show. I've got some of the best minds in the golfing world at our disposal. Unfortunately, because of weather all over this country, Robert Damon having a little bit of a tech issue. Hopefully he can join us in a little bit. But here and the now, my man, Steve Scott. Good afternoon, Steve.
What's going on, everybody? Universe, everybody. We are in a new week here. I love this. And we got all that rain behind us. It might even rain in Phoenix, but in Scottsdale. But who knows? We'll see what goes on.
You clearly have not looked outside my window right here in Southern California. I'm like swimming right now. Can't even get out of the driveway. All right, he is a former World Long Drive champion. He's also a scratch golfer. Has played on the PGA Tour Champions. He is Fast Eddie Fernandes. Good afternoon, sir.
What's up, boys? Great to be here, of course. Hopefully it doesn't rain in Phoenix, but you got a little monsoon going there in Southern Cal there, Coach, huh?
Yeah, and my son doesn't like it very much because the club, we got the email today, the club is going to be closed for the next couple of days. It is completely underwater. But let's jump right in, guys. We got a lot of storylines to talk about before we get to our best bets. If this is your first time watching DTL Golf, oh, the man is here. You talk about a drop-in.
Technology being what it is, but with my superior wisdom, smarter than my computer. I got another computer all good now, I hope.
He is Robert Damon. That's how you make a Stone Cold Steve Austin crash the party type of sound. All right, great timing, Robert. We're getting right into our storylines that could affect the betting lines. And last week, unfortunate. Steve, I'm going to start with you. Wyndham Clark does win, but it was only 54 holes. And he also made news as he was commenting on the fact that he was very open, that he recently met with Liv, and he said, for now, I chose legacy over basically money. Did it take anything away from you, the 54 holes? And do you think he is done with that Liv conversation?
Oh, I don't think he's done it all. Unfortunately, I mean, for him, I mean, look, let's compartmentalize this, right? He had a great week last week. Really just a great one round, that 12 under par 60. Nobody, I mean, all the greats of the game have played Pebble Beach, and nobody has beaten a 60, 12 under. To shoot 12 under par is ridiculous on a par 72 golf course. And I know people were comparing it to Joaquin Neiman's 59, which is also 12 under par on the Live Tour last week. Look, let's just put it this way. There's a lot of great golf being played all over, but those words that he said for now, definitely telling. We'll see how it kind of plays itself out over time, but that didn't quite probably sit well with the players and the people who are running the PGA Tour.
I agree. And Eddie, you kind of brought the storyline to the show today, and it almost overshadowed the fact, the negative fact, that the PGA Tour, they were forced. They couldn't play on Tuesday or Wednesday because of how big that Phoenix Open is. Did it take anything away from you, and did it get overshadowed by the Liv comments to you?
I don't think so, Coach. The thing is, when we have so much technology in this world today, we knew the weather was going to be bad early last week. Sunday was looking not good 7 days in advance. So as players, you have to be able to, like Steve said, compartmentalize. You've got to be able to bring it. If you know Sunday's going to be iffy, might be a Monday finish, might not be, you have to really focus on making a lot of birdies. And that's exactly what Wyndham did on Saturday. You know, he got hot early and then, you know, shoots 12 under 60. But that's what you have to do. It doesn't take anything away from his win. A win is a win.
Yeah, it is a win. And Robert, though, this was a signature event. This is
Yep.
a event, and they changed it so that they would get a better field at Pebble Beach, which has really been lacking in recent years because of 80 amateurs, because of 54 holes with amateurs. That all changed, but then the weather was a factor. What did you take away from Wyndham Clark in that W?
Well, I mean, really just the putter woke up. And I think, as far as our show goes, a betting show, he was getting a no love, really. And I think that even continues as we get into it later. He's kind of up against the people that you'd think he shouldn't be up against. But you asked a little earlier, is that something that kind of takes away from the win? The answer to that is no. But sometimes in a 54-hole situation, the runner-up or third place, it really burns them up. And that's where it gets taken away from. But that is not the case this time. It can't be, because everyone knew what was going on out there. Everyone knew that Sunday was going to be a monsoon, and everyone knew that possibility of 54 holes, and this is before the tournament even started, was there. So the course being unplayable, it's not like the second place guy can come in and say, boy, if we could have just played Tuesday, because it wasn't ready Tuesday. It's probably not ready today. Or well, today is Tuesday. It's not going to be ready for some time.
Well, they've changed a lot. The PGA Tour, I'll give them credit. When they kind of made these signature events, they said, we're going to change it from year to year, and that's exactly what they have done. This week is not a signature event, and last year it was. But we saw a tweet today, because next week I'll be on the call PGA Tour Live, ESPN Plus, for the Genesis. And today, Steve, Tiger Woods tweeted out 2/12/24. Here it is right there. The vision remains the same, and that's it. What do you think that means?
I don't know. This is some Taylor Swift stuff. You got to figure out the subliminal words behind it. But no, yeah, he's coming back, and it's game on for him. He feels good. Clearly, he's got the look in his eye. He can certainly walk a lot better than he ever had a year ago or so. So I really feel like Tiger's going to go out, and although he hasn't played super at Riviera for the Genesis, he'll be there and he'll be ready to compete. He's going to give it his best, and you never know with that guy. You never count him out.
And that's the thing, Eddie, when you look at the fields and as a player, and I can't wait to ask Robert this question as well, and you got to figure out what events am I going to play. A lot of the big boys played last week. They're going to play this week. And when Tiger's in the event, they want to play there as well. That date is the Monday of Riviera Week Genesis. I think that's all it is. What do you think?
I think I think it means that Tiger is ready to play. He's ready to win. Like he's always said from the beginning of his career, if he is going to tee it up, he feels like he can win. So I think that's all it means. It's good to see him walking again. He's actually caddied for Charlie a couple times, 18 holes a day. So, and obviously we saw him at the Hero. So I think he's ready to go. I think he's excited. And Tiger is the needle in golf. So if he's playing, it's going to be huge.
If you are and you are, Robert, a player, you're a former player, but if you're a player currently and you're looking at the schedule and you say, I got to play one of the two, and I'm going to play either Waste Management or Riviera because I don't like to play 3 or 4 in a row, what would you do?
You don't piss off the big man. I mean, that's easy. You go to his tournament and thank him for the opportunity to do it. So, yeah, that's why his turn. Well, it's not just his influence, but everybody playing there now grew up idolizing Tiger. So they would almost feel they were sliding, not just him, but golf legacy if they skip this one. So they've got, almost in their own mind and their own heart, no choice. They've got to play this. If Tiger invites them and they get that spot, 100%. It was the same way with Arnold Palmer back in the day, the same thing with Jack Nicklaus up there. But back to that tweet, Coach, I thought that when I first saw it, I go, you know what that is? That's a shout out to Carl Weathers, Apollo Creed, the eye of the tiger right there on that thing. So the late, great Apollo Creed getting a little shout out, maybe. But in honesty, I'm scared. I want him to play. Of course, we want him to play. I think that might mean because it's Monday, there's an announcement of a new venture, maybe a new clothing deal, maybe some other business, maybe the TGL has got a new something. Tiger always was an enigma, and we'll just have to find out when we find out.
That was my number 2, because it's been revealed. We thought it was going to be tailor-made, and then there was reports that it was going to be a Tiger Woods starts his own company with merchandise and maybe with tailor-made. I don't know. But they also have a big celebrity event on Monday, so maybe, Robert, you're right. It could be a combination of things, which is next Monday. And I'll be flying to Florida for PGA Tour Live. Now, it brings us to this week, talking about players who have to decide where they're going to play. And every time a big-time player, Eddie, I'll start with you, backs out, then it's always, oh, they're going to Live. Oh, they're talking to Live, whatever it is. But Victor Hovland made some statements last week that I don't care to repeat. I'm sure he probably regrets them a little bit. But when you make a statement like he did, I don't think Victor Hovland is going to Live. He's got an injury. And Xander Schauffele, who has always played well at this event, he also is a WD. What do you make of this event, which players with the energy love to play in?
Yeah, I was watching Mr. Scott on the range at Pebble, and Victor was kind of playing with his wrist a little bit. So I think it might be a little bit of a wrist issue. I know he hasn't been playing that great this year. So I don't really read much into that about Victor. He's a PGA Tour guy. I don't see him leaving anytime soon. I mean, that could change in the future. Just like Rahm never said he would never go. For Schauffele, he just, I don't know. I think that he just maybe wants a week off before going to Riv. So that's basically all I think. And I think it's Xander and Cantlay would be a package deal.
Yeah, they always seem to go hand in hand. They do everything together. They're best friends. And Xander, Steve, did play at San Diego. He did play at Pebble Beach. And if he is going to play at Riv, then maybe it just is a rest issue, perhaps.
I think so. I mean, I think you look at what last week was all about. Last week, they were slogging it out in rain, all those delays, and mentally that wears on you. And then playing the long rounds with the amateurs as well. They put in a lot of extra time that maybe they wouldn't want to, and maybe they took out too much mental energy to do so. So yes, this would be the week to kind of just take it easy and kick it back, because there's also some weather this week that's a little iffy in the Scottsdale area. It's a little chilly, not really conducive for a lot of great play. We got some wind kind of early on that we'll talk about here when we get to first round leaders. But I think it's a little bit of that. And then next week they want to be ready to go in Tinseltown.
Yeah, Robert, when you're a player and you're a big-time player, there's that you feel like you need to show up so you can sell tickets. This is the one week that no matter who shows up, they're selling the most tickets on the PGA Tour all year. So maybe this is the week that you do withdraw without worrying about it so much.
It used to be the second, and it may still be the second most attended sporting event in the United States behind the Indy 500. I mean, this thing is a party, and most people don't care if anyone's playing golf. Most of the people there don't see golf shots. They're there for the viewing, and all that, and kind of to people watch and have a few drinks with everybody else. But, we're talking about their withdrawals. You're talking about Schauffele, and we're talking about Hovland. And I have got a little more pessimistic view than you do about this. I think that the longer that Live and PGA Tour can't kind of make some kind of deal out, the more that the PIF is going to get a little ticked off, and the more they're going to try to poach players. And who would be the biggest get really right now? I think, Tiger's out. Forget that. Matsuyama worldwide would make the biggest splash. But other than that, to hurt the tour the most, they're reigning FedEx Cup champion Victor Hovland. I'm not saying that's happening, but we live in that age to where a withdrawal just isn't a withdrawal anymore.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and say it, and I want to make sure that I don't give anybody a clip to post on social media. But this is what, according to some places that I saw reported, that Victor Hovland said last week, that Live Golf is kind of like the WNBA. Nobody cares. When I read that, I was like, did he really? And it was like several different places. So I don't think he's the kind of person to say it and then retract it and say I was just, because then you're taking a shot at the WNBA, which is completely unnecessary.
I agree, and it could be bad for your image right now in today's day and age. But every player that has gone over there has at first said, no, I'm not going over there. Almost every player anyway. So you just have to kind of wait and see. But like I said, it's just that age of speculation. You can't see a withdrawal without wondering.
That's exactly right. But we will continue to work for the PGA Tour, and we're happy to work for the PGA Tour because they are going nowhere. $3 billion into it. Now you got Rory McIlroy, Eddie, very quickly, and Jordan Spieth on opposite sides of the thing. Rory's like, let's put everybody together. Spieth said, now that we got this $3 billion, we don't need the PIF. They don't agree.
Yeah, Rory has completely changed his tune from a little over a year ago, right? He was in the camp of who's going to go, who's left. So now it's like, well, now we need to like bring Rahm and, play the Ryder Cup when it's time and things like that. So, which there has to be a way for everybody. They've got to figure it out, because if something doesn't happen and something doesn't happen within a reasonable time frame, it's just going to create more and more tension among PIF, PGA Tour, DP World Tour. So I think something has to happen pretty soon. And I think the golf world wants it. We want the best players in the world to play in tournaments and see them competing against each other. I think that's what everyone wants.
Were you surprised, Robert, that Jordan Spieth said that they don't need PIF now that they got that $3 billion?
Yes, because they've poached a lot of players and a lot of fans. Frankly, all the fans want to see all the best players play against each other more often. And they've poached so many great players that if we can find a way to get a few tournaments outside the majors and have these great players play against each other more often, that's only a good thing. The question that really needs to be asked, because we can speculate all we want, but do these LIV players want to come back? They left. A lot of them may not give a care at all if they play another PGA Tour event.
I say this, though, sometimes because I've worked with a lot of wealthy people in my time, and eventually you only can count your money so much, and you want to have the competition. You want to have the eyeballs. You want to have people saying, hey, I heard you on that broadcast. And right now the CW is not a broadcast. It is just a place for them to play, 18 holes. So it is what it is. All right, gentlemen, we've got to move on. It's time to get into our best bets of the week. Thank you to everybody in the chat that's joining us live. If you're watching on demand, we value you as well. So we've got 5 different categories that we will go through. And remember, in golf betting, head-to-head matchups, that's the only thing that we recommend doing a full unit, whatever it is. If you're a $100 better, everything else, scale it way back because it's very, very difficult, just like our first category. Steve Scott, we're going to start with you. First round leaders. This is kind of where you excel. I love this. Where are you headed this week?
Well, that's my cousin right there. I'm headed right to him. My cousin from down under, Adam Scott. This weather, though, this week, and before I get to him real quick, this is a little different weather pattern than you're normally going to see in professional game and typically in golf. Typically, the winds are down early in the morning and they pick up during the day. Well, there's a weather pattern coming in on Wednesday that's going to be kind of lingering through about 11 o'clock on Thursday morning. That's when the wind is supposed to peak. And then as Thursday continues on, it's going to get less and less. So I like those players that are actually in the afternoon this week. That's my meteorological skills at work right there. But I really like Adam Scott. He is in that afternoon wave. And I like to bet him in 3 different ways. And this is a really good thing. BetMGM has got this option for all the players out there. If you're not quite feeling him, like he's going to be the outright leader in round 1, you can bet him to be in the top 5 at plus 800. Or if you want him, you think he's going to be in the top 10 at least, plus 400 for that. So I really think there's some options there. But I like Adam Scott. He was the second best in the first round scoring average last season on the PGA Tour, and he hasn't let me down too much. So I'm going to go with him.
We love BetMGM, and they're starting to get, a lot of the sports books are this way. They're starting to get creative because they understand you've got to make this where people want to come sign up and you want to play. So I love that you found that on BetMGM. Eddie, let me come over to you. You like 2 different guys at the plus 4,000 price point. Explain yourself.
I went with a little bit different route this week. I went and who's making the most birdies per round, and Sungjae Im is number 2 in birdie average per round this year, and Ben An is 5th. Ben An also has 2 top 4s this year. Ben An played well here in 2023, finished T6. So they've got a little bit of history. An is playing very well. Sungjae is Sungjae. He's going to play 73 tournaments a year. So it seems like they're both in good form, and they make a lot of birdies, which I like for that first round leader.
100%, especially on this particular course. Robert, I'm coming to you. You think that Wyndham Clark could continue his hot play based off of last weekend, yes?
For certain. He had the best putting round of his life on Saturday, the best putting round of almost every golfer's life that's ever going to be. And if he can putt even half as good as he's going to go low on that first round. And he lives in Phoenix. He's comfortable there, sleeping in his own bed. And then also Tom Kim, I've got, and he's not long. And this is a long hitter's golf course. So this is kind of counterintuitive. So I don't like him for all 4 days. But this guy loves desert golf. He's an incredibly good iron player, which is what is needed there at this golf course. And, he hadn't started off too well so far this season, but Thomas the Tank Engine, he doesn't start off fast. He gets going slowly, and then once he gets going, you can't stop him. And also, let me back up to what Steve Scott was saying. If there's a job in history where you phone it in, it's a Phoenix meteorologist. You think they know what time it's going to blow on Wednesday or Thursday? All they know is frost in the morning, sunny and warm in the afternoon. See you later.
I remember when I was in local TV in Wichita, Kansas, the highest paid talent was the weatherman. And I remember all the farmers were like, what are we doing? Why is he making the most money? He's always wrong.
Always.
Right. Always wrong. All right, I just mentioned it too. If you're just tuning in, this is DTL Golf. We do it every single Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time with three of the best golf minds in the business, Steve Scott, Robert Damon, and Fast Eddie Fernandes. Now, I just told you about 3 minutes ago that if you're going to have a full unit bet, and you have to do that, this is where you want to do it. Head-to-head matchups. All these are tournament matchups. We do individual rounds on Thursday and Friday on our morning show at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So, Steve Scott, let's start with you. You have 3 this week that you really like. What are they?
I like Ricky Fowler to start with, minus 110 over Emiliano Grillo. One thing that Ricky Fowler has in his arsenal is a high ball flight. He's second highest apex on the PGA Tour last year. And you need that in these fairways out there, not only if they're a little bit wet, but there's a lot of trouble. There's a lot of hazards that are right next to some of these fairways, especially on the back nine, the 11th hole, the 15th hole, and the 18th hole. So you want to kind of be able to carry that. You want to be able to carry some key bunkers at the corner of dog legs. Emiliano Grillo hits a little bit lower. And, one thing about Ricky Fowler, he's never missed this event in his career, 5 top 10s, including a win back in 2019. So, and then Adam Hadwin, minus 120 over Cam Young. Hadwin's a really cool customer. He's played here a lot. He's made 8 straight cuts here, tied for 10th last year. Cameron Young, he's played it here a couple times, and he's got a little bit of a hangover from that trip over to Dubai where he was really close going. He was leading going in that final round and got upended, scuffed the green up with his putter. It was a little, it wasn't unlike him, but I really like Adam Hadwin here, minus 120. And then I'm going to piggyback on what Robert said. With Wyndham Clark, I like him. I like him to carry it over and really prove to the golfing world that win wasn't a fluke right there. That's just one round. Well, he's going to carry that over, I feel. And shooting that 60, he's one of the hottest golfers. He's the hottest golfer on the planet right now. So I like him over JT Poston at plus 105. Yeah,
Moshe agrees with you. Cam Young has been playing terrible. I got to be honest. I thought it was Carson Young when you first turned this in because Cam Young's been a top 20 player the last couple of years. But this shows me Adam Hadwin's favored over Cam Young. Did that surprise you, Steve?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. But just looking at the track record here and that Adam Hadwin's played very consistently here and his golf has been very good recently. No, I think Adam Hadwin is going to be the favorite here for sure. I think they got it right.
All right, those are 3 good ones right there. Where'd you get all 3 of those at real quick, Steve?
I got them at BetMGM.
BetMGM. We usually DraftKings and BetMGM a lot for our golf.
Actually, no, that one may have been DraftKings. That may have been DraftKings on that one. Sorry.
Either one. Just look at both. You'll find them. All right, now, Eddie, last week we talked about JT and how he said at PGAtour.com that I'm really, really close. All I've got to do now is start winning. He played well last week, as did Scotty Scheffler. Let's start with that one. You like JT to upend him, even though he's the not defending champion. He's the 2-time defending champion.
Love JT this week. He has, the last 5 times at Waste Management, 3 top 4s, an 8th and a 13th. He is number 1 in strokes gained total, 2.97 per round. The last 2 events, tied 3rd, tied 6th. He just has the grit and the attitude after a very lackluster 2023. Scheffler, 3-peat's only been done 11 times in the history of the PGA Tour. 6 golfers ever. Tiger has done it 6 times, the 3-peat. Stricker was the last to do it in 2009, 10, and 11. So I like I like JT this week. I think Scotty's going to be close, but I think JT gets the win this week. And, Bo Hostler, he's trending up. He's getting better and better every year. Tom Kim hasn't been that great. Tom Kim is 116th in strokes gained putting. And I just love Bo Hostler this week. Plus 100, both on BetMGM, by the way. T6, T14, his last 2 events. And he's 11th in the last 30 days strokes gained total. So watch out for Bo Hostler. I like that bet a lot.
I knew we talked about him a lot last week. By the way, Brad M in the chat says, sorry, I probably missed this. Are these head-to-heads for round 1 or full tournament? These will always be here on this show. They'll always be tournament matchups, Brad. And then we'll have individual rounds because round 1s you can't even really bet yet until you get to late Wednesday or early Thursday morning. So always tournament matchups here on the show. Let's start with that Hostler pick, Robert Damon, because you're playing him against a different guy, Min-Woo Lee. Let's start there.
Yeah, I got this at a different spot. Obviously, I think I got it over at DraftKings, but Hostler coming in at plus 105 against Min-Woo Lee. Min-Woo hasn't showed us a whole lot so far this season, but I'm not making this bet as a knock on Min-Woo. Just like Fast Eddie, I think Hostler's trending in the right direction. He likes this golf course. He hasn't had particular success here, but he did have T14th last year. He's learning the course. He was T6 at Farmers, T14 at Pebble. So I really, really like that one. I've also got Wyndham Clark over JT Poston. Clark, the underdog over JT Poston. Now, how can that be? He won last week. He's getting no love from the betting community. But again, I think that putter is so hot that it's not going to putt like he did before, but he is going to be a threat this week. And JT Poston's played very nicely this year, a 5th, a 6th in Hawaii, then 11th, then 20th. Even though those are great, they're trending downward slightly, and he's never had a top 10 here in 5 tries. He missed the cut last year. So I'm sticking with the hot hand there with Wyndham. I got Sam Burns over Jordan Spieth. The only thing I'm going to say is I just didn't like what Spieth showed me last week. I think Burns has been playing well, and this is just one of those guts. I just didn't like what he did at a course that he absolutely loves and tears up. And then another one I really like is Fitzpatrick. He was playing nice last week. He's got a great putter, one of the greatest putters out there. And against Sahith Theegala, Sahith drives it a little crooked, more crooked than Fitzpatrick, and he's a little younger than Fitzpatrick. So, Coach, you drive it outside the ropes there at Phoenix. There's a lot to look at. There's a lot of distractions there. There's no place like it. There's a lot of short skirts. It gets a little distracting for a young fella out there outside the ropes.
And for old fellas, too, I would imagine as well.
I fell for that. I married a girl from out of the Phoenix Open. So, yeah, I know exactly what it's like to fall for their old tricks.
Last week, by the way, we cashed 2 different days, JT over Jordan Spieth, and they were easy cashes. JT had a really good week, and Spieth, as you said, played very average. Zach says, are we not cashing with the coach this week? Well, Zach, just like last week, I'll be making picks on the individual shows, but when you got a full show of 4, we can only go so long. And so I'll be putting mine on social media at the Coach Rules and also on our daily show Thursday and Friday. So don't even worry about that. All right, now this is where you're going to scale your picks back just a little bit. These are finishing positions. Could be a top 5, top 10, top 20, top 30. Some books even have a top 40. So, Steve, you've got one in the top 30 market. Talk to me.
Yeah, I mixed it up just a little bit here. I don't do much in the top 30 market. I really stick to the 20s and the 10s, but this one just kind of jumped out at me. Patton Kizzire. And I know this is a name. He's surfaced on the PGA Tour. He's done pretty well on the PGA Tour in the past as well. Unfortunately, he was not in this field. He had to Monday qualify. Well, what did he do? This is the toughest Monday qualifier in the history of Monday qualifiers, and he won it. So he's got a lot of confidence he's riding. He's played well here. He's made 6 cuts out of 8 times that he's played here, tied for 10th 2 years ago. I like him to kind of ride the wave of some good play and get at least in the top 30. I think he's got a good chance. Top 20 for Akshay Bhatia and Daniel Berger. Bhatia plus 230. Got this off of MGM. 15th in strokes gained total. 33rd in total driving, which is an important stat. Like Robert said, Sahith Theegala drives a little crooked, and you're going to have some trouble out here when you hit it a little crooked because you got a lot of penalty areas, a lot of water. Daniel Berger is a guy who's not really surfaced around a lot, but he's ready to jump back into a stage that he belongs in. Daniel Berger, one of the top players in the world, fought a lot of injuries, and I think this is this place will get him energized. And plus 333, give it a shot there for top 20. Wyndham Clark, I think he's going to carry over that great play. Like I said, plus 300 at BetMGM. I think he's going to just keep it going here in the desert. So I like Wyndham Clark, and he got an extra day of rest last week as well. Didn't have to play Sunday, and just kind of taking it easy. So I like Wyndham Clark top 10.
I like the mindset. And if you guys are paying attention, golf is a streaky sport. So when a player starts to play well 2, 3, 4 weeks in a row, you jump on it. And then when they back off, then you back off them a little bit. But you got to be able to target those. And clearly this week, the guys think Wyndham Clark is the guy. Eddie, let's come over to you. Let's start with your top 20.
Yeah, Thomas Dietrich, man, he swings the club so well. He really does. The Belgium Bomber, I've nicknamed him. So, T20, T4, his first 2 events here in 2024. Strokes gained putting 20th and 13th in driving distance. That is a very nice combination, hitting it far and making putts. If only I could have made a few more putts, I would have been all right. But Sam Burns, he was leading the tournament. He was leading the Amex after 70 holes. We always hear about, we've only heard about Nick Dunlap, who won, but he made a couple bad swings those last 2 holes. Well, he's in really good form. I love Sam Burns, top 10, plus 230, Thomas Dietrich, plus 550 as well, top 10. And I have a feeling Burns is going to have a top 5. So I just like the pick. Playing well, like you said, Coach, trending. When you're playing well, you ride them. So I like those 2 guys this week.
Rare is the time that 2 bad swings, double bogey, cost you about $300,000 or $400,000. But that's what happened out in the desert when the amateur won for the first time in 32 years. Robert Damon, you've kept it very, very simple this week here in finishing positions. You're up.
Yeah, very simple. I've got Justin Thomas, who I like to win the tournament also, but I've got him at top 5 at plus 260. He's hitting it better than anyone so far this year. He's first tee to green. One thing that concerned me, and I looked when I got into stats, he's 172nd in putting, and that's just puke. But one of those rounds was at Pebble Beach at one of those tournaments. At Pebble, you kind of have to throw putting stats out the window because the greens are so bumpy. And if you're not a guy that likes those kind of greens, it's just not going to work out for you. But he still had a great tournament. And also, I look back in 2019, he won 2 times, and he was 144th for the season in putting. 2020, he was 112th in putting and had 2 wins. He's one of those rare talents that does not have to putt great in order to win a golf tournament. That's just how good he is. And then I've got Eric Cole as a top 10, plus 400. This is, a lot of birdies out here. You got to hit it long. And for 111 pounds soaking wet, this guy destroys it off the tee. Good iron player. He was the birdie leader last year, made the most birdies. And also going back to what I said a little earlier, Eric got married this last around Christmas time. He's got that newlywed mindset, so he's not going to have his mind on those short skirts and high heels outside the ropes. He's got his mind pure and clean, ready to play some good golf.
Yeah, I talked to him in December at a charity event down there in Florida, and he said he may not play as much this year as he did last year, but he was an older rookie, and he was like, I've been waiting 13 years to get out here. I'm going to play every week. You can't always do that, so we'll see what he does. So I like Eric Cole. Now, rare is the time. Rick in the chat says, I love Thomas this week. Well, all 3 of these faces also love Justin Thomas this week. So, Steve, I'm going to start with you. You also like Eric Cole, but they're 2 completely different numbers. But look there, all 3 of you. JT, let's start with you on yours, Steve.
Well, let's start with Eric Cole first, because I really think that and take a look at this number right here. And DraftKings does this very, very well. He's plus 4,000 with Scotty Scheffler in the field. But if you take Scotty Scheffler out, because he is the absolute favorite here and going for the three-peat, he goes down to plus 3,500. And I like that. He's knocking on the door so much. Like you said, 4 top 5s and 7 top 10s in the last 10 starts. He's just played so consistently, and he is due. And this would be a pretty awesome spot for him to get his due. And he's one of the top 10 guys in the field in strokes gained approach, which is super important to get the ball in there close. And we know he rolls the ball well. And then Justin Thomas, what can we say about him? He is on a tear right now. He's finished inside the top 20 in his last 6 appearances here, including a 3rd, tie for 3rd, and 4th last year. and he hasn't finished out of the top 6 in his last 5 starts. So, he's ready to win as well. So one of those guys that would not surprise me.
Rick says Justin Thomas is going to win. Look to parlay it with something to boost those odds. Very difficult to do that, Rick, when you're talking about placing a winning bet. You can do it with other things, but parlaying a winning bet's difficult to do. But you can. You can. I just wouldn't recommend it because it's really hard to pick a winner. So, Robert, let me come over to you next. You already explained your love of JT. What about Homa and Burns?
Well, JT, Homa, and Burns, they're all playing nicely. They're trending in the right direction. Burns, like you said, a little retribution from his double-double finish out at Amex. And I think you've got some pretty good value right here. JT, I still like Scheffler, but at plus 500, I don't like that. It's just, I don't think he's going to win it 1 out of 5 times. But JT, 10 to 1 plus 1,000, plus 1,600 for Homa, and plus 2,000 for Sam Burns. They are big names. I don't really need to explain why I like them. They're household names. And this is a big name golf tournament. Since 2015, Koepka's won twice, Matsuyama twice, Scheffler twice. You've got Woodland, Fowler, and Webb Simpson. Those are big names. There's a special little extra pressure at this tournament just because of the amount of people and the chaos and bedlam that is going on around you at all times. So it takes those big name players to kind of work through that little extra pressure.
A big name player or somebody who kind of plays very like this, Eddie, and that's my man JT Poston. I think he can handle this as well. Yes?
Yeah, for sure. He rolls it as well as anyone. Mm-hmm. He's he is so pure. He rolls the ball. It's almost like when he hits it. I've watched him in practice rounds at Bay Hill, and the ball just starts roll. It doesn't even seem like it skips. He rolls it so well. He finished 11th at the 2023 Waste Management. Shots gained total number 5. Shots gained strokes gained putting number 8. 3 top 11s in 2024. He's playing really, really solid. JT, what can I say? I already mentioned it before. Number 1 strokes gained total, almost 3 shots per round. Last 5 Waste Management, 3 top 4s, 8th, 13th. T3, T6, last 2 events. They're both on a roll. I like one of those guys this week. Sprinkle a little love, like we said last week, on these guys.
What I would do, as opposed to some people in the chat are saying you can put it with the Chiefs plus the you can put it with the Chiefs money line, change it up just a little bit. You can do that. Or I would bet one of the tournament matchups or an individual and then win the $100 there and just put Justin Thomas straight and just assume that Justin Thomas is going to win one of those. That's what I'm going to do. I don't like parlaying anything with the winner, but you guys can do whatever you want to do. Just take the information. Knowledge is power. All right, now the final category we have here on DTL Golf. It's the long shots. This could be anything. It could be, I like to go plus 6,000 or higher. It could be group betting at BetMGM. It could be anything you want that doesn't fit into the other 4 categories. So, Steve, you have 2. And one of your names, if he won and what he did a few years ago and made a friendship that has lasted for several years, heartwarming. If Gary Woodland could win this golf tournament, my goodness.
Well, I think his game fits this golf course, number 1. I'll get to that story in a second, but there's a couple key tee shots on the back 9 that I think really favor his power fade. All the trouble's on the left, and he works the ball away from that trouble on the 11th and the 15th hole, put it in play really nicely. He hits it plenty long. And it would be a really heartwarming story with that great special needs girl, now woman, Amy Bockerstedt, who really, they really had a great little partnership out there. And it would be fitting if this would be a great victory for him. Plus 15,000, sprinkle a little bit on Gary just for that. And then Kevin Yu, he went to ASU out here. He's played this golf course. He knows this venue. He's been here often. And he's 6th in strokes gained off the tee this year, which you get this ball down the fairway long way. And he's had a couple great finishes already, a few top 10s for Kevin Yu. So throw a little bit that way too. Sprinkle a little love.
He's not intimidated to play with the big boys at all. There's been a lot of early season starts for a lot of the big players. So these guys like a Kevin Yu, they're not intimidated anymore. Fast Eddie, let me come over to you because somebody in the chat likes Nate Lashley as a first-round leader. You have him as kind of a long shot to look at.
Yeah, he's sleeping in his own bed. Like we can ask Mr. Dameron how nice that was sleeping in his own bed at Bay Hill, every year. So I think there's an advantage to that. Plus 15,000. He's from Scottsdale. T3 at the Farmers. He did have a good finish here in 2020 at the Waste Management, tied for third. His strokes gained stats all in the top 20 to 30% in each category. So he's playing pretty solid. Now Nick Taylor plus 13,000. I like it. He finished second last year. T7 at the Sony this year. So he's playing well. You never know. Just kind of, it's making some putts. They're both playing, pretty solid golf. So I think those are maybe sprinkle a bit on those two guys as well. See what happens.
Yeah, he also has probably the best putt made to win a golf tournament in the last 5 to 10 years. If you haven't seen it, check out the Canadian Open last year. Unbelievable. All right, Robert Damon, give us your final 2 picks for the week.
I started going down into the long shot category, and I found a couple names that I was shocked were kind of in the long shot category. They've both been playing well. Thomas Dietrich at plus 6,600. He's a great driver of the ball. He is a great putter. Tied for 4th last week, tied for 20 at Farmers. So he's trending the right direction. And I've mentioned this a couple times jokingly, but I'm telling you, there's also something to this. I'm being very serious. I was pleased, and I checked to see if he's married, because I didn't want a young, handsome, rich guy running loose in Scottsdale. He has been married since 2019. So thank God, that just gives me a little more, calmness in my belly about making this big bet. And then Christian Bezuidenhout. This kid he's already won 3 times in DP World Tour. He drank rat poison, so his nerves are pretty strong. He's not going to fall for the nerves of this, big time tournament, Phoenix Open, but also playing very well. 3rd on approach this season, tied for 20th last season. And, just one of those guys that's ready to break out. He was the de facto champion at American Express. He got the first place money, which is super nice. He didn't get the trophy, but he got that money. Just Nick Taylor happened to slide in there, and not Nick Taylor, Nick Dunlap. We're talking Nick Taylor, Nick Dunlap, all those guys.
We know who you're talking about.
They all hit it forever is what I'm saying. Yeah. But no, I like me some Christian Bezuidenhout.
Todd Lewis asked him at Pebble Beach last week. He said, so how did the first place money affect kind of your mindset since you didn't take home the actual trophy? And I'm sitting there, I love Todd Lewis, but I'm there going, he got an extra like 800 G's as second place. Never happens. And he's like, it's not about the money. It's about how I'm playing. It's also about holding out for eagle from the middle of the fairway to help you get to minus 2,800, whatever it was. Gentlemen, as always, well freaking done. They will have, along with me, anything they like throughout the week. We will have it on the morning show, 10 a.m. Eastern, right here on the same YouTube channel. So we got you covered top to bottom, left to right. In the meantime, give me my one shot. You guys know what time it is. Time to pay it forward. Time to be kind to one another. That's what the game of golf is all about. Pick up your merch too. Golf is hard, and we know it. And remember this, there's only one thing left to do. And I believe you all know what that is. You've got your marching orders. Let's take all of these DTL golf tickets straight to the pay window. Brian Tiger, Lobo, Steve Scott, Robert Damon, Fast Eddie Fernandes, our entire production team behind the scenes, making this show look like $1 million. I am simply the coach, trying to keep this train on said track. We grind for you so we can win with you. It's truly what we're all about right here at DTL Golf. Good luck.